fight for each other was totally different and against the grain that I was like, you know what, Fire and Ice might have something special here. So that influenced heavily. But I will say this, Rise on Canals is incredible, and DeToX is a major reason for that. He leads the charge, brother, and that mid-bridge is going to be difficult for FNI to take over, Toby. And I don't know if you covered the stats just yet, but when it does come to Canals for Fire and Ice, how are they looking?
That's the thing. Canals, again, it doesn't really stand out statistically for either team, in fact. You know, you look towards Checkout as being a bit more, you know, your toss-ups for Rise, and honestly, likewise, for Fire and Ice, Checkout stands out too. Canals hasn't been anything significant. I'm going through now. They lost, actually, Fire and Ice to Oxygen 6-3 all the way back on day 3 of this phase, and that's kind of all the experience they've had on broadcast, and that was a long time ago, mind you. You know, Fire and Ice, especially if they are coming into their own a little bit, you know, speaking to the growth of them playing a bit more team orientated now rather than just, as you say, brawn and focus on their shotgun play. You know, they're transforming over time. That's a lot of games since day number 3, so I'm not sure how much relevance Canals has for them. I mean, likewise, I'm looking at Rise now, statistically speaking. Canals execution, they beat Oxygen 6-4, you know, same team. That was as recently as yesterday, I believe, or day 12. And so that's the thing, you know, are these results, these sole results that we're looking at here, really the most important factors to consider here? I'm not too sure. Honestly, I think it comes more down to who turns up on the day for me, rather than the stats today. And you know, that's hard for me to say. You know, I love my stats, my picks and bans. You do, theory, and I do too, if you will. And you do too, absolutely. And so I guess for me to say that, I think perhaps that suggests that both teams really have the opportunity to win this one. I think it's very exciting.
Well, first blood going to the way of Fire and Ice, but quickly answered back as Rise gets their own blood. But Fire and Ice answers back in a dominant way by taking down Avexys. And Icy, Avexys, the last one standing for Rise. And Icy does get away, to his credit. Well done. He was full red, Toby. At this point, Fire and Ice, slow it down. Chill out a little bit. Don't spread yourselves out. That's the biggest thing. Teamwork makes the dream work, and Icy will connect. This is what I did not want to see. Fire and Ice needs to utilize their numbers, and they're going to get away with this round. But I'm going to say it. I'm going to stand by it, Toby. That could have went pretty bad. Spreading themselves out as they did.
Absolutely so, and I heard you and PR talking about this yesterday, and the importance and the value of the snipe change for a lot of these teams, right? You have shocks there. Rarely do they get utilized to any great extent. Meanwhile, snipes used to be really strat changing. They used to dictate strats for a lot of these teams, and some teams really like it, you know, in terms of, well, maybe not like it, but at least favors their playstyle. And I think Fire and Ice is perhaps a team that would actually prefer snipes to not be there, because they do have their aggressive moments, right? And I think Middle Bridge is really suited to that stylistically. Perhaps if they can keep up the momentum, they keep their shotguns in play, perhaps Middle Bridge is their avenue for success here.
Mid-bridge, so important. Xploidz, Phil Froggy goes for the leap. Dyslexic, a bit of a misroll, and Icy's going to eat both of them alive. Well done to him. Toti, last alive, head down. He can't even pick up Rushiez despite a wonderful shot. Those moments like that, they hurt you. They really do. Fire and Ice wanted to push forward, be aggressive. I respect it. That's their DNA. But this time around, it just didn't work. Well done to Icy for holding his ground.
Yeah, stunning. And you can see the numbers there. 4 kills for Icy. He was all on his own on that middle bridge, and he did not flinch as the players hurled their bodies towards him. Well played indeed, 1-1. And it's great to see. I think strategically, Fire and Ice have got it going well for them. I think middle bridge is, you know, that aggression is probably their best bet here. Meanwhile, Rise, I'm surprised they're actually contending. They're really going in to try and fight back here. They've gone in late. It's not really paid off for them. Avexys will fall, and just like that, Lincoln, you'll miss it. 19 seconds goes by, and another round goes through for Fire and Ice. And honestly, if I'm Rise, I'll be honest, you don't necessarily have to go all in on this middle bridge. I think, in fact, Fire and Ice kind of want that, right? They kind of want that scrappy shotgun-based fight. Maybe Rise can actually look towards the torp bow. They can look towards the rotations via high side. Maybe for some pinches on middle bridge. Perhaps that is your route, rather than just going all in on the shotguns.
Yeah, fair enough. You know, there's a couple different ways you can play Canals. I know Blaze is in chat, and maybe he can let us know his insight, too, of what He's thinking that FNI or Rise could be doing a little bit better. Xploidz will pick up 2, will pick up 3. Will he get the 4th? No, gonna be robbed by Dyslexic, but you know what? He's okay with that 20 seconds, and Xploidz with a 3-piece off the beginning.
That is absolutely stunning from Xploidz. And, you know, we weren't on his camera, right? He wasn't the last player alive. But it means so much. Look at this for replay. Bouncing around between the 2 walls on middle bridge, making all the difference. And honestly, single-handedly winning that round, let's be real. 3-1 now to FNI and Rise. They have to be careful. You know, they have to really be careful, Taylor. 1 map down, Canals and Execution, you know how fast it can play out. They don't necessarily just want all-out middle bridge battles every single round. It's just not paying off for them. Right hand now for Xploidz, which he will abuse. He will leverage, finds DeToX, he peeks over the side. 4v3. Can they use this numbers advantage now to make it 4-1?
They might be able to do so. Xploidz is on a tear, ladies and gentlemen. 3 first bloods, 8 kills. That time around, he's going to be silenced. Just like that, Rise has the man advantage. Dyslexic by himself. This would be a big connection across map to bring it to a 1v2. Spider's senses are tingling, though, Toby. I think he knows Icy or someone's going to be pushing up. Rise is going to, you know, close that gap. They really are. This is the best opportunity to take down at least one of them. I assume he's going to fire that bolt to the right. Oh, he's just going for it. Nice shot. Doubles back. Shock out. This could be beneficial, but Icy baits the shock out, goes in for the kill, and takes it. What went wrong there for FNI, who had first blood off the rip?
Honestly, it's just not collecting on your resources, right? You pick up the frags, you pick up the torque bow. With numbers, you should be able to do something with that. Instead, they were perhaps a little bit too quick, rotating and flying in at solo kills, right? At that point, just slow it down. That's what it comes down to. When you started off so strong, you're going so fast on initials, sometimes it can be difficult to go into that slower phase of play. Honestly, sometimes it just needs to happen. You need to make it work. Fahrenheit didn't that.
All right, Xploidz taking mid-bridge. I like that spacing, though, from DeToX. He at least lancers one down, albeit it doesn't end up working out. 2v2, Avexys full red, but putting up one hell of a fight. Opposite of that, player 3 of Fearzly. Fearzly creates that spacing. You know, one of the unique things about this fight, though, Toby, is both teams are spread out with their duos. So this is essentially a 1v1 on both sides of the map.
And here comes a potential rotation. Yeah, Avexys will get the nades. They're going to collapse on the 1v2 now. Toti is quick to get out of there. Now they have to be careful, though. Fearzly is just behind, and they need to get back in the fight. Toti's there. Oh, my goodness me. Well played, Toti, indeed. Turning to find the down on Avexys as he's damaged, and then turning right to pick up that kill. Well played, indeed.
My
brilliant round that was.
That was a sexy play from Toti. Fearzly drops. Toti gets the down, instantly turns around. Good process of eliminations, big smarts. And I think yesterday he had a really good play taking down Adverse and then another player. It was on Vasgar specifically. One player goes for the miss roll. He prioritizes that, sidesteps from the player who's going for the 50-50 chunk up close. But sidesteps, gets the player off the miss roll, doubles back and gets the 2-piece. In that case, well done from him. Now it's a battle of who's going to be able to be unstunned first. Xploidz has to go big here. He's going to double back, try to take out Avexys. They're going to bully him out. That's going to be a 3v3 now. Now a 2v3. And that, you know what? I'm okay with Xploidz making that decision, but I don't know if he should be pushing straight into Lancer fire.
Right now, I think the goal was to try and win that 2v2, fly at the 2v2, but it's not paid off for them at all. Icy, of course, rotating for that torque bow, and he did have the time to get back into it. That's the thing, right? I think instead of FNI trying to play it slow and 2v3, I think they really showed perhaps more respect, right, for Rise instead. They know perhaps they're not going to win the slow game in the 3v2. Instead, while Icy's going for that torque bow, literally fly into the Lancer, see if you can get some shotgun damage to open up a push on that 2v2 before Icy regroups. Doesn't pay off there, though, of course. Just like that, Rise are very much in it in this Canals game. Despite Fahrenheit doing really well in this middle bridge.
They're doing incredible on mid-bridge. They really are. And Xploidz has been... Oh, Xploidz is stunned. Gets out of there, though, despite Dyslexic tries to bait and switch, but he's going to be taken down, and the ultimate collapse is Rise. We'll take down 3 members easily, and Fearzly will get chunked. That's a team ace and a quick one. 23 seconds. We're all tied up, Toby.
Much better utility there from Rise compared to FNI, and it was actually clear as day. Xploidz still had his flashbang in his hand, actually, as he got into shotgun distance, because he was caught out with a stun onto him himself. And so at that point, he literally needed to roll out. Numbers disadvantage immediately from that point onwards, and Rise just start winning their shotgun battles. Nervy times now for FNI, as Middlebridge doesn't seem as strong as it once did in the earliest rounds. But trust Xploidz perhaps with that first spawn. He does actually get the nades instantly to make it work. Toti under so much aggression though.
Yeah, a ton of aggression indeed, and Toti's been popping off, in certain moments. This is a big round for both rosters. Obviously for Rise, they'll be up 5-4 map point, an opportunity to tie up the series 1-1, but for FNI to take a 2-0 lead this early, you got to be thinking Rise is going to be absolutely on the back pedal, but one player will be lost. It's going to be Avexys. DeToX is also going to die off. Rushiez now going into a 1v2. He's going to be the last one alive in a 1v3. He's going to get pounced on, and Fire and Ice on map point. An opportunity to take a 2-0 lead in the series has become a reality.
Most certainly so. Most certainly so. Fantastic stuff. FNI 4-0, if you will, in that round in terms of lives taken and lives lost. One round away. Attack! Potentially going up 2-0. Who would have thought it? I mean, you predicted it, of course. Fire and Ice taking the win. I think many people perhaps go with the stats, shall we say, with Rise, but I agree totally. Fire and Ice are starting to come into their own a little bit, and this series is looking good. Xploidz on board with him. Actually, his teammate pick up the torpo. The strat changes come in. Xploidz somehow gets away. Wow. And now they're probably going to slow it down themselves. I know.
It's crazy.
That's surprising.
He was so red, Toby. I mean, the fact that we even have a reset without anybody dying is wild to me, brother.
Rise could smell blood. And not only that, they had confirmation that there wasn't any numbers with him because the torpo was picked up. So Rise really, their golden strat there was to kill him. They had to take him down, but they didn't. No, Fire and Ice as a result, they have the advantage in terms of power weapon control. Numbers-wise, it is stable between the two teams, but Rise have, arguably map control. Right hand on junction there, as you can see, that SK Rushiez holding out on that end. And middle bridge control for Rise. Big difference here, of course, Taylor, on Execution 2.0, is that map control on this map literally means ring control, as the ring always spawns in the center line of the map. Frag grenade going in, finding Dyslexic, getting caught out. So much pressure on Toti now to try and level up the numbers with that torpo.
Xploidz is going head down, and he's really trying to make the fight happen, but that nade is going to take down Fearzly. Icy up close and personal. Xploidz off the Mistral. Toti last alive. And Toby, as much as Fire and Ice wants to win the map now, they're going to have to sit back and wait a little bit. We're most likely going to be heading into a round 11. And yes, sir, we are. Rise stays alive.
Oh, you love to see it. You really, really do. Fire and Ice started off strong, and just like that, fantastic frag grenade, honestly. On to Dyslexic there on that P1. It's a difficult one to make, honestly. There wasn't many resources around Dyslexic, admittedly, for him to get help from. A teammate or revive, no power weapon usage to really fire his way towards his enemies. But Rushiez made it work. Really, really did. High pressure situation. He ensures it goes to around number 11. Is it going to be all-out aggression for the middle bridge? Let's see.
DeToX, he's stunned, but gets away with his life. But Dyslexic will take down Rushiez. DeToX now trying to take down Dyslexic, we get away, but Dyslexic will finally fall. It's going to be a 3v3. DeToX slowing it down a bit. He's going to pick up that torque bow. They get away in the moment, though. Lancer fires out. Watch out from the corner, though. Fire and Ice looking to take him down. That's going to be Fearzly. Avexys goes in. He feels like he has an advantage, but it's going to be a 1v2. There's going to be a couple of trades. Fearzly, though, is going to get the down. Icy now snubs out. Not going to result in anything. Shock is in to get a little bit of a reset. It's a 3v2 at the moment. You can see Toti, what he's thinking about. Trying to get that rotation around the corner, and these Rise boys are pincered in. Their best option is to push out too strong and isolate Toti, and that's what they're going to do.
Toti is careful as ever to make sure he does not fall. Has to be careful with the torpo, though. DeToX will find one. 2v2 automatically now. Both players split up. Which way will it be? Rise needs to find a kill on someone, as they are getting pinched so hard right now. Toti keeping his distance. DeToX has to close the gap. One more ball, so will Icy. My goodness me, what an incredible round that was. 6-5, the final score. Somehow FNI hold out, and they go 2-0 up in the series.
They definitely do, and that is going to be a worrisome thing for Rise to be down 2-0 against Fire and Ice. And, FNI is not a team to, squander a 2-0 lead often at all. And that was just an incredible map in general. Fire and Ice losing control, Rise losing control, both teams fighting and positioning for power once again. And ultimately, Fire and Ice wins that round in a very tense moment. Rise did a wonderful job evening up the odds with the Torque Bow, bringing it to a 2v2, excuse me. But having one Fire and Ice member here and one F&I member here, it's right. Those two Rise members just got put into the blender, Toby, and that's just the way it was. But that was an exciting one. Xploidz, my guy who really popped off on that mid-bridge position, man. His plays and those initials were just explosive from him.
If you're giving someone an MVP for that map, it has to be Xploidz, right? That was clear as day. I'm sure we'll see in the replays at some point an incredible triple kill from him on the middle bridge, single-handedly winning a round. But honestly, it was just raw skill. Icy, you saw that earlier on, the composure clearly working out for him there, but it was all about this battle of stuns and shotgunning on this middle bridge. Xploidz with the 2 kills even there in that round. And there it is. That's the triple kill. Look at this movement. Beautiful from Xploidz there. Shot holding galore on each and every kill that comes his way. Stunning. Really a stellar performance from him, and that was the turn on from Toti as well. Oh, that was amazing too. Honestly, clearly Fire and Ice were just playing amazingly individually there on that map. And really you can see it right here in the scoreline and in the replays.
Yeah, a couple of moments they got a little bit loose, you know, kind of spreading themselves a bit too thin, in my opinion, getting too overly aggressive. To be fair, that's Fire and Ice. That's just kind of how they play at times. But I'm not giving them an excuse, right? That's something that's going to hurt them and has hurt them in previous series of maps and against various other teams in the general. This was that final 2v2. That was a good connection from DeToX. Unfortunately, just couldn't get any more. And really good job from Toti and Xploidz. Toti had to hold his ground there for quite some time. Rise should have pushed him, I guess, in a 2v1, but I guess it's all hearsay. Maybe that wasn't the best play either, but that's just how it was. We move into Vasgar Escalation, which, you know, Rise is a great Vasgar Escalation team, Toby. They quite honestly are. Fire and Ice has 100% had their struggles on this map, so this very well could be the turning point, and Regency control is also looming around the corner, so a checkout execution is still very much so a reality.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to go in the stats again. I have to, after what was a really chaotic Canals, if you will. But Vasgar stands out to me actually a little bit between these two teams, because Fire and Ice 4-0 on Vasgar on broadcast. Fire and Ice, right? And actually, Vasgar for the most part for Rise has been an iffy map, if you will. You know, a so-so map where they've won some, they've lost some. And it's definitely not a favorite map of theirs. You know, if anything, maybe even a ban one day would have been really beneficial for Rise based on the losses they've had. Fire and Ice, for me, Taylor, are in a very good position in this series, and Vasgar actually might be the most likely map that they take from Rise of the 3 remaining. I think this is their best opportunity, to be honest.
Toby, I appreciate you doing the stats, because I'm not going to lie. I was looking at the wrong page, and I was like, this could be great for Rise. I was on the page of Fire and Ice. You're right. They are 4-0. They haven't lost. So maybe this is concerning for Rise. You're right. That they want to win. They can. You know, they can 100% do so. And this 3-0 victory, minus map 1, it doesn't even matter. It'd be a 3-0 victory. You got to give it that F&I, 100%. That this would be a legitimate 3-0 victory. If they do so, going into the Summer Major, Rise has to be worried about playing F&I. They have to be worried about potentially playing Vanquish. Because, again, the top 5 teams right now are incredible, and nothing is guaranteed.
Nothing is guaranteed. It's almost like the storyline of this phase of play with how competitive it's been. It's been, as a fan, right, from across the pond, it's been truly amazing to watch. Pleasure to be casting with you, of course, Taylor, once again, since EGL of old. And now we're into map number 3, Rise versus Fire and Ice. And Rise have to pull themselves together. I know they have it in them.
I think they do. And by the way, just echo that sentiment. It's good to be casting alongside you, too. I know when we casted for EGL, for some reason, I was called your dad. And then now, for some reason, I've been called your brother. So I don't know if I'm looking younger. Yeah, it's definitely better to be called a brother as opposed to a dad. Because I don't want to be a dad right now. And I don't know if ever. And I don't want to look old. Fire and Ice going for the domination. Rise starting to make their way in, though, to stay alive, and maybe Xploidz is there to get the cross, and player 1 is there for Rise. So yeah, the round will continue. Fire and Ice made it scary, though, for a second.
They very much did. Hey, hell. Changing hands for a second to bring up the overhead. Look at that, 6, 8, and 7 flying over towards the helicopter. Sea-Hill clearly firmly in control. The question is, can they actually force out the Rise players now on this wall? Numbers clearly not in favor of Rise. I see just behind there with the support fire ready. Let's see if they can make the plays. Here comes the utility being thrown out. Dyslexic not going to get stunned in the process. Will return to the safety of the cover just behind. The Lancers coming in thick and fast. One down does come in. The score, honestly, is building for Fire and Ice. The pressure is on Rise now to eventually make the play, and if they don't make it happen, if they aren't successful in this push, it's looking bleak for them for the rest of the round.
Yeah, and you're right. This is basically the only chance they have for a retake. Fire and Ice put up a great, but you know, they're doing it, and that's going to be a solid win. And again, this makes Toti's job that much more important to win this 1v1, but even if they don't, Rise has guaranteed themselves a lot more of a fight, and now they're going to be able to come in and help. And Toti's about to get Pincer from the backside, and he will. He's going to go down. Player 6 off the respawn. Rise pulling the rug from underneath the feet of FNI, and I think they're going to do it.
Mission survive right now for Fire and Ice. If they can somehow hold on, they've got still a big points lead, but the domination is just coming in through. Yeah, there's the final kill from DeToX over in the spawn. And Rise, out of nowhere, when it all seemed like it was done and dusted, squared away, they pull the round together. Wow. Well played indeed.
Well played indeed, Toby. And that's a big victory for Rise in a map that, or a round, I should say, that they probably didn't have business winning or even staying competitive in, yet they did so. And let's talk about what Fire and Ice did wrong, because one glaring issue for me is they got over-aggressive, as they typically do. And, you know, granted, that Arrivals push going for the domination was 100% the correct play. That's what they needed to do. They had the man advantage. They just quite simply lost that fight. But now, did they have to commit as much, though, to try and recover like they did? I don't think so. They could have still played defense. They had the point lead. There was no reason to get as crazy and aggressive as they were being. And Rise, well, they took it to the bank. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. In that case, well, FNI died. Sniper, though, placed very early, round 2 for Fire and Ice. They're going to be down in economy, but, hey, they wanted it. And for typical Rise fashion, they placed an instant center line.
Now they did, and Dyslexic right there is arguably outplayed Avexys for the incense. He's got to the home hill first. He's got those incense himself. And this is great. Fearzly picking up the kill on Rushiez. There comes the reinforcements with those incense. It's just going to get hit markers, but a lot of pressure on IC shoulders, loads of damage. Here comes Avexys throwing himself back into it. I'm surprised Rise has thrown so many resources at this B hill now, all for that sniper. And it's not paid off for them. Fire and Ice have started off this round strong.
Strong indeed. Once again, right? This is not as dominant of a start as it was in the first round, but still a dominant initial nonetheless. Xploidz is a scary man. Scary man with the sniper. That body's going to slow down Avexys. You got to respect that. Utility's thrown out, and I assume they thought it was going to connect, and Xploidz missing a pretty rare shot. Rushiez, good job baiting out Fearzly to take him out. Ring around the rosy we go, and he wins. And Rise once again, maybe potentially threatening a domination shortly, Toby.
Yeah, absolutely so. That wow was just Rushiez. That response was incredible to that body check and gets the down across the map. Brilliant stuff from him. Dyslexic, mind you. One incense still in his hand. Not going to connect. He really needed that, though, as IC starts going wide. Super wide, in fact. Avexys down in the process. And the B hill changing hands once more. This has been a crazy round so far of Vasgar, actually, from both teams. Somehow, it's still very much fairly close in terms of the score. The rotation coming on through for Rise over towards the A hill. Xploidz may be opening things up there for the push.
Xploidz up close and personal. 3 members ahead of him. He's full red. Ensign's also behind him. He's going to get burnt to a crisp. That's going to leave Fearzly now left alone with Dyslexic. Granted, it is a 2v2, though, so things do get a little bit better. Curious, though. Fearzly looking to pincer in Rise, and Rise is going to push out. That's a lot of Lancer fire. A down needed to happen to put Fearzly in the lead, but, I mean, did it really? Fearzly, well done. Connecting, Dyslexic moves in, and, well, I guess it was a brilliant play after all, but around the corner is going to be Avexys, and if he gets the 2-piece, it's going to be nullified, and he'll be finished off in the end, but you got to give it to him. That was a great play overall. Big 1v1. DeToX has to stand his ground. He cannot afford Toti to win this fight. Toti wins the fight. This could be a domination, Toby.
There's also Sniper either way as well. You can't lose that fight no matter what. Domination blinking for the time being. Hill, is he going to be left? Yeah, it will. I think the audible has come on through. Toti has the snipe. They have the 2 cap, but he'll still come in though, mind you. Fearzly is there on the flank. Dyslexic gets another kill. Toti aiming across with the snipe. Looking for a single body check to turn the tide of battle in these last moments. Domination surely coming in. A stunning round from Fire and Ice there. Well played. And this is great. This is honestly great to see. There's still very much life in them after the first 2 amazing maps that they pulled out. And that momentum train is still riding fast, shall we say.
Well, it could be a 2-0 lead for Fire and Ice, but as Blaze likes to say, shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's not going to be the case, man. Look, it's tied up 1-1 because Rise made that magnificent comeback in round 1, but Fire and Ice, I guess you can give them credit for 2 rounds in a row. They've dominated a large majority of the map and a large majority of those 2 rounds. We look at the overall scoreboard, and it looks magnificent. It really does. I mean, I think across the board, everybody's looking pretty equal aside from Rushiez and Icy, but they got the assist.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm scanning every column here, and it's very much neck and neck between the 2 teams, and really it just comes down to memory between Fire and Ice, how close they were from taking that first round too. It goes to show Rise have put in so much work, actually, just to have the score leader or score count be 1-1 after all that. Avexys picking up the incense elsewhere. There should be a revive chain on the snipe if at all necessary. Icy is in trouble here. Taken down. Xploidz with a snipe shot for good measure. Meanwhile, Taylor, elsewhere on the map, Rise have been very active, shall we say, over towards the Sea Hill. Right now, they have 2 hills.
Yeah, like you said, 2 hills. It's up to Fire and Ice to retake control. Cross snipe, not gonna be connected at this moment. C, in fact, still being broken. Fire and Ice does have, I believe it's the man advantage, right? Is it going to be a 3? Who got, oh my lord, Avexys, nice connection on the Fearzly. That's going to be great. Big shot from Xploidz, needs to connect. It's not. Dyslexic tried to rope it up around the corner, not going to happen. Does get dropped for a minute, but he's going to be okay for the moment. And B still hotly in contention. Rise takes down Xploidz. Dyslexic answers back the hero. It's 2 down for Rise, Toby. And DeToX can't get away in time. That's now 3 down.
Absolutely so. I was really concerned that Xploidz pushing up when he had the sniper and was so red. You know, just wait for your teammates for a moment, then make the play. But does come on through in the end. Icy, of course, rotating to the B hill. In a lot of trouble now, trying to close the gap. Not able to finalize that shot at the end there. Fire and Ice clearly leading the pace of play on Vasgar for this round thus far. Avexys and Rushiez, again, they're still trying to fly on through. They're still trying to regain some sense of value here on Vasgar as they're constantly being brought down. Xploidz with a snipe shot all the way from downtown over at the A hill. Surely Fire and Ice have done enough now to earn a round. Surely this is the final klaxon. 1 second on the clock.
Oh, what?
Icy will not reach. My goodness me. It might have just been a wall bounce there that stopped him from breaking that hill.
I think it was. I think it was. Man, you know, isn't that heartbreaking though, Toby? And I got to ask you personally, have you fallen victim to that where you need to get a touch, but you wall bounce a little bit too much, and before you know it, you're an inch away, but ultimately, I guess, as far away as you possibly could be because you end up losing a round when you should have got the touch?
It does happen. It's rare. I think this is actually a more common occurrence for players who play on the default control scheme, because sometimes you just need to roll, right? That's the fastest way to get into a hill, and that's kind of your path panic option. But sometimes you can just take cover instead, and oftentimes there is no cover in the way of the ring. It's, it's to the right, to the left. So that can happen, I think, a lot to default players, and it can really be heartbreaking when it does happen, for sure.
Well, that's good insight, though. I think more so than I was even expecting. So fair enough. Default players, watch out. Sometimes you do need that roll instead of the wall bounce, but in that case,
I'm actually known for just saying classic alt constantly when I see a roll into a shotgun on broadcast. I've received a lot of flack for it, shall we say, over the years since Ultimate Edition for that. As there's still surprisingly a lot of players still playing on default. I'll say that much. I think there are.
Why do you think that is?
My personal opinion is that there are more optimal control schemes in 2021, but I think a lot of players do like to stick to what they know.
Just habit, familiarity, right? I think that's and if you're a casual player or you play ranked every now and again, nice shot. Do you really need to switch it up? Is it necessary? Maybe not. Xploidz dies with the snipe in hand. It's going to fall to the ground. This could be devastating for Fire and Ice, depending on how this breakout goes. Fearzly looking deadly in the moment. There it is. Icy spots it. You know, they might not known for a second, so fair enough. They will take the 2-1 back in their favor. They'll also have the snipe to boot, so this is going to be a harder round, I guess you could say, for Fire and Ice depending, but nice shot from Xploidz onto the Avexys.
Xploidz literally blind fire lancering. He is 3-star from the left there as he plays it ultra safe that to keep his distance from his opponent as he goes wide. Meanwhile, we flip back to Icy's camera. He still has that snipe in hand, 4 shots to play with. Now, perhaps a waiting game as he rotates over with his teammates to try and get some action here on the Sea Hill. Very nice. Have to be so careful. Unfortunately, Rushiez does get down in the process. Avexys does level things up here with the down, providing access to a push potentially. Toti trying to hold the way. Xploidz does get cleaned up. Sea Hill regained. Ryze still trying to keep up the pressure on this lane, and it would be so helpful. The points are just clearly not in Ryze's favor right now. They're still building, or they were still building towards Fire and Ice. Ryze needs something here. They need to keep up the pressure.
I think Fire and Ice is going to get a touch on B at least. That's going to help. Xploidz rotating up. Oh, can't get the pick up in time. Avexys gets to finish. Either way, Fire and Ice recovers. Player 7 is going to hightail it straight over towards C. Try and get that for himself. And I do believe the retro is just off to his left. If he can get that, that'd be pretty cool for him. This time around, he's just going to kind of call out those numbers. And it's pretty easy to call out, Toby, isn't it? Because now, as you know, it's going to be a 3v2. And they're going to try to take full advantage of this. Icy dies with the snipe on his back. And F&I will recover the 2-1 in a moment where it matters most.
This is a huge round. This could easily be 3-1 right here, right now, after so much effort put from Ryze's way. 3 seconds on the clock. Sea Hill stepped out of for a second, but does it really matter? Fire and Ice cleaning things up. Ryze knows it's gone. It's 3-1, and I'll say it again. It could be easily 4-0, Taylor. It goes to show how well Fire and Ice are playing on Vasgar. It's kind of going the way of the typical statistics, if you will. This game, Ryze really haven't turned up after Canals, I think. You know, I wouldn't say deflated, but they certainly haven't gone into the gear perhaps they really needed to against F&I. Now or never for me, Taylor. You know, really, now or never. This round, they have to get it back into the swing of things. Maybe even a crazy weapon placement at this point. Just not something as vanilla, if you will, as Shot Grenade I'd like to see, but you know, hey-ho, let's see how they play it out. Can Ryze do it? This is make or break for them.
It is make or break. You know, this is the reality that they put themselves in, okay? They lost map 1 because of a competitive rolling. Map 2, they lost in round 11. And they were playing on Vasgar, which, to their credit, I don't think they're playing necessarily terrible. I don't. They're hitting good shots. They're connecting when they need to. But Fire and Ice is just simply better on Vasgar Escalation, and the history proves that being up 4-0. This is a map that wasn't going to benefit Ryze, whether the series was tied up 1-1 or, you know, whether it was going to be 2-0. It doesn't. Anyways, this could be map 1. It doesn't matter. Ryze most likely was going to lose this regardless, but it's more severe, isn't it, Toby, given the fact that they were down 2-0 heading into this map, and that's just a reality that it is. I don't see Ryze coming back into this. I don't, but I normally speak too soon when I say that. But I mean, F&I is just doing everything right and doing everything they need to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's not that Ryze is perhaps bad at this map. It's just they're not playing at the caliber they really need to against the third place team right now in the league, who are actually very good at this map statistically. Look at that for an incend coming out from Dyslexic. The kill feed is lighting up red. Surely that is all it. 3 seconds. 2. Fire and Ice 4-1 now. Looking so good on this map, and a map you really need to watch out for. Honestly, for the rest of this phase. Honestly, going into the major, it's huge. This is a huge deal. I'm not sure if it's really been noticed by a lot of teams. You know, looking to pick some bans while I was preparing for today's broadcast and tomorrow. I didn't really notice much in the way of attention of Vasgar with Fire and Ice with their opponents in terms of picks and bans, and so perhaps now, maybe now it's really going to light up, because this could be 5-0. In terms of the record on broadcast as well, mind you. That's not including scrims. It's not including other tournament play or whatever it might be off stream. This is a big deal, and for Fire and Ice now, they're just going to keep their head in the game, and this could easily be a 5-1 victory on Vasgar.
I think it's going to be. I really do, especially with Fire and Ice going to a rival spawn. Notice off the rip, they already get the 2-1 favor. Dyslexic up to something. He's going for the flank. Meanwhile, Toti will pay attention to him. We'll take down DeToX. Everybody backing up from FNI to get some recovery on their health. And there's Dyslexic. This is a Mr. Crab moment.
This is it. Surely 3 seconds. Yeah, I can't see any players. Rise are nowhere to be seen, and that is a stunning performance from Fire and Ice there on Vasgar.
Yep, stunning performance indeed. 5-1, 3-0 victory coming out from Fire and Ice, and that is going to elevate them, I do believe, to second place. We'll see the statistics once we get out, or excuse me, once we end the day overall, but you got to give it to FNI. They played incredibly well. Those 2 maps were out of this world. And Fire and Ice is a force to be reckoned with, Toby. Heading into the Summer Major, FNI could very well be the team to finally give Latin America their chip. They are their last hope.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And I think this is really good for Fire and Ice. When you think back to yesterday and in terms of their result there versus Rebel, coming in today and 3-0 Rise, we should see them go up right in the rankings on the league table. That's huge. That's huge for Fire and Ice. And what better time, right? They started off the season a little bit slower. They started to come into their own a little bit. You know, you mentioned it in terms of stylistically. They were playing a lot more like a team, you know, yesterday, not just all about brawn. And so it goes to show that Fire and Ice are on a really good upwards trajectory now. Going into the major, they are looking very, very good coming into it.
I will say, you know, beating Oxygen yesterday, or excuse me, beating Rebel in the way they did yesterday, and then beating Rise in the way they just beat them, Fire and Ice might be looking the strongest or the deadliest I've seen them be in quite some time. And again, getting this close to Summer Major, that's what you expect. Same thing with the United, getting the victory over Oxygen in the way they did 3-0, right? You know, that's what you expect heading into the Summer Major. I do know they are currently on map 3 going into map 3, I should say, and United does have a 2-0 lead over that of Elevate. We will be watching map number 3 from that time, so we will get a chance to once again watch Explosive and Praise, right, for the very last time in Pro League in general, because as we know they are retiring. Summer Major, of course, we will see them there, but you know, that's a big win for Fire and Ice because Regency control was not a guarantee, and neither was Checkout. So at that point, Fire and Ice could have been in trouble. Quite honestly, they needed to win the series in 3-0, and that's what they do.